somewhat overwhelming and very impressive to see almost, well, pretty much 300 of us in this room today. Ex-YSC staff, current YSC staff, ex-Bladen Lines, and even some friends from Valzelle. For just a moment this week, it's felt like we're all back on seasons here. And there's something special about that I think will be quite hard to explain to people back home. It all started as an idea that, quite frankly, no one thought was going to happen. But it's been a blast, as you can hear from my voice and see from my face. It's also amazing to see some of the reunion and reconnection this week, and just how many like-minded people there have been on the trip. This became particularly obvious when my lot walked into the casserole on Wednesday evening and were seated next to, perhaps to their horror, the early 90s grey-haired ex-YSE crew. It was hilarious to see how much we have in common with them. Quite actually me, probably in the hair department as well. But I think we all felt that if that could be us in 30 years, we'd be pretty lucky. Some very important thank yous that we're going to go through, people who really made this trip happen and without which we wouldn't have been able to do it. Firstly, thank you to the ideation committee, Dougie and Barnsey, who came up with this idea. And everyone else, Joe, Murray, Christina, who helped along the way. Now, obviously that list is utterly incomplete without the twofold YSE matriarchy of Annabel and Fiona. Firstly, a massive thanks to Fiona and the team in Sherburn for handling the complicated logistics. The most complicated logistics. How do we think about rebooking for next year? Secondly, and of course, by no means least, a massive appreciation for Annabel. Her exceptional organisation and being so up for this week from the get-go has meant it's been such a success. I think everyone's got such pleasure from seeing you turn up with the biggest bottle of rosé known to man. And even more so when they realised that Fiona and John had paid for it. And finally, John. Where's John? John, what an epic 50 years you've had. Some quick and rather inaccurate maths revealed that you've met over 2,500 staff, 200,000 guests, and your activities in Valzelle have led to the consumption of over 1.5 million bottles of wine. Something to be proud of. That figure needs to be upwardly adjusted after this week's guest. I think we can all agree. But really, it isn't about the numbers, 50 or otherwise. It's about the life skills learned by chalet girls who queued for bread at 6 a.m, made beds all day on Sundays and cleared the loos on New Year's Eve. It's the drivers who are taking up the Montchet to dig a car out of snow in minus 15 degrees. It's the chefs who learned to love food and made it their careers. It's the lifelong friendships, couples, engagements, marriages, and YSE babies that have come as a result. The suspense. As a final word, I think YSE John and Fiona's perseverance running seasons and holidays of the last 50 years will mean something quite different to everyone in this room. But the fact that we're all here today is testament to a life's work well spent. a lot of fun had along the way, and most of all, John's repetition of the same stories year after year. And so, before I pass on to Annabel, I think we should all raise a glass, not for the first time this evening, but to 50 winters in Val.
Many of you here, I can't believe it. Thank you so much for coming to celebrate John's 50 seasons. Right, I'm not going to dwell too much on John's life before YSC. But I do want to start by sharing a few photos of him growing up, not in Wales, as he'd like us all to believe, but in Kent. We've heard many stories about how he grew up with a loo in the shed.
Oh my God.
And he certainly didn't have enough money for anything as luxurious as a car or a ski holiday. John spent most of his youth writing songs and playing in a band. His great love is music, and he wanted to become a rock star.
Wow, amazing.
When he realised he might not be one of the Beatles, he followed his brother instead to Val d'Isère. Dick easily managed to get him here with the promise of great skiing and a lot of pretty chalet girls. Dick Yates-Smith, who started Dick's Bar first, introduced John to the slopes in 1976. Here's a picture of him in his first ski suit. Maybe the moment his love of yellow began. John's ski career began as a dishwasher at Ski Val, skiing bumps, doing a few jumps, and even attempting a bit of downhill, though in a style that was uniquely his own. He later joined Bladen Lines, the biggest tour operator in the Alps at the time, where he met Fiona, MD, and they started a new company. 1991, YSC was born, a family business in every sense, with Fiona's father giving a lot of advice in those early days, shown here in these photos. They began with 12 chalets and a mailing list made up of friends and families. Everything was run from the Crête Blanche, without mobile phones or computers. Hard to imagine now. It's amazing to see how many of you are here worked with John in those early years. Roddy, Kathy, Dee, shown here in the Crête Blanche office, all here tonight. Roddy, oh sorry, Al. Dishwasher. Simon, ski instructor now, but ski guide and dishwasher for YSC in those early years. Phil Rigby, still here as a ski instructor, worked for YSC in those early years as well. And of course, Roddy, Patrick, and many more. Here they all are on their old ski guide front with John to the holidays now. Look, exactly the same. When I look through all the thousands of photos you've all sent me over the last few months, what's really struck me is how much fun John's had with you all. As we get older, we ask ourselves, did I make the most out of it? Did I make the most out of life? Did I find the right balance between work, family and fun? Do I have any regrets? Well, if anyone has squeezed every last drop out of life, it's John. Not many people can say The famous helmet John, which I think so many of you are so familiar with. All the photos showing John with so many of you over so many years. Here he is, even this year, at the top of the Grand Prix on Christmas Day, drinking and celebrating with the star. Age 73. And during the training course, when I asked everyone to have an early night so they could work hard the next day, where were they? Drinking shots in a bar late at night with John. The second thing is that John always has time for everyone. His phone is on day and night, and he'll always answer it if he can find it. No matter the problem, John will try to sort it out. We always joke that even the most difficult guests eat out of his hand once he's been round. And it's amazing how many suddenly claim to be his best friend when he can't remember most of them. And thirdly, John has mastered the impossible. Firm but fair, tough but liked. Every year, about 60 of you arrive, eager to ski. Some more than others. Party. You come here to stoke up the sun. Let's face it, none of you come here for the work. There are no pay rises, no promotions. We try to teach you to cook, to clean. We try to teach you to wake up in the mornings and get to work on time. We ask you to keep your staff accommodation respectable. Some of you clearly missed that though. Shout out to Ramon Grisney. We won't go into details about how some of you keep your rooms. There is actually a person under all of them. We won't talk about the parties you have in your staff accommodation. Or that you all end up sleeping. Right, well, even in our meetings, one sleeping everywhere, John himself. And the fact that John is still loved by the end of every season, and shown here, all of us together on Tuesday at the Rosé Blanche, says everything. It's no small feat. We also can't forget the countless hours John has spent at Geneva Airport or on buses. And of course the legendary bus speech. We worked out he's probably travelled 360,000 kilometres to the airport and back. That's 9 times round the world. It's probably also worth mentioning how many of you John has taught to drive on snow. And how to dig out cars. And speaking of cars, looking through your photos, I was amazed at how often the YST cars feature. Never as transport, but always as props. From the 2 CVs in the early years, to Renault, Thomas the Toyota, Sammy the Samurai, and of course the Land Rovers. These cars have become more than vehicles. Even this week, ex-star from the 90s clambered onto one of the Land Rovers for a photo the minute they saw it. These have become part of YSC folklore.
Oh.
I think I want to mention a few people. I think all who have been so instrumental in making YSC a success. Murray and Christina, who are with us year round. Are absolutely invaluable. And I know Christina won't mind me saying that out of everyone here, it's Murray, now in his 18th season, who has done the most for YSC. After Brexit and COVID, he completely reinvented our catering model and worked unbelievably hard to keep us going. John and I feel incredibly lucky to work alongside him every day. And then there's Scotty, who did 17 seasons as a chef. And flew all the way here from Australia to be here with us this week. And then there's Scottish with 17 seasons. Many of them in Chardon. Stig with 9. His wife Kat with 7. Dan with 8. Barnsley with 7. And Hannah with 6. And she'll sing with the train. You guys have contributed so much and set the tone for every generation of staff who works with you. Thank you so much. But more than anything, what YSC and John have given all you guys is lifelong friendships. Because if there's one thing that stood out in all the photos I've received and everything we've seen and heard this week, is friendship. Friendships with bonds as strong as families, right from those early years to today, and demonstrated by you all coming to celebrate this week together. So many of you said your ski season was the best 6 months of your life before the real world kicked in, with jobs, mortgages, bills, and having to pay for your own wine. Some of you have even met your future spouses here. Listen. Harry and Lily. Annabel and Joey. Joe and a couple who are engaged and a couple who are maybe future weddings in the room as well. Maybe in a few years there'll be a few more marriages. But at the end of every season we say goodbye to you all. You wave goodbye to each other and we put you on the bus. But the bus ride isn't the end for you guys, it's just the start of a lifetime of friendship. So I'd like to finish with something written by Martin Short. Martin wrote this in 2010 and it still stands the same today. Our Father, who art in Val d'Isère, YSC be thy name. Thy cleaning will be done, thy après will be won on snow as it is in bars. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our hungover days as we forgive those who don't drink. Please lead us into all temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the ski, YSC and Val d'Isère, forever and ever. Amen.
It's a real honour to have the Mayor here present John with a medal, because Normally is one of the town council who does it, but the mayor has made an exception, and he himself is giving away the medal, which shows in what esteem he holds John. So, on that note, I'm going to hand over to the mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Dear John, when Dick asked me to officiate at this ceremony, I immediately accepted. Indeed. Is there someone who deserves this medal? It is you, as your loyalty to Val d'Isère is renewed every year. Thank you, John, to giving me the opportunity to sponsor someone who is a bit older than me. Unfortunately, it won't happen so often anymore. It's a true honor to me to present you this medal. Through your work over the years, you have helped promote Val d'Isère to British customers who are very attached to our destination. For all of this, all the people of Val d'Isère, thank you.
Wow.
I hope we will continue to work in this direction for many years. We don't always understand each together. That's perfectly normal. You're British, I'm French. But at the end, we always find the best solution for our British friends. In short, it's a cordial understanding. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you, John, and for once, I send you a kiss.
The menu is the sign that we've got old.
So, I know a lot of thanks has been given this evening already, but I have, seen everyone come every season for the past 23 years. It's the first season I'm now actually older than the average age of the season out here, which is a bit weird, but I want to say thank you to everyone for coming. I know people have flown in from Australia, from Canada, and everyone being in one room is, amazing to quantify what an impact Wesley has had over the past 30 years and what an impact my dad has had over the past 50. So, I want to start by outlining a few things that characterize my dad. I think for everyone it would be a bit different, so I thought I'd start safe and go with his notable trait, which is his ability to tell stories. Whether it be to 21-year-old members of staff, random kids who get stuck with him on the chairlift, people his own age, those of whom are actually still alive, or his kids. Whether we hear the story for the first, second, or 15th time, for those of you who have done more than a few seasons, whenever you encounter my dad, he'll have a story to tell. But one thing I want to point out is that these stories are never about him. They're about his friends, his dogs, his million girlfriends he's had over the years. His ex-colleagues and bosses, or the endless amount of criminals he seemed to encounter throughout his years in Corsica. And I think that's a pretty good place to start when defining you, Daddy. You're incredibly selfless, and that is something that I've witnessed firsthand as his daughter. There's nothing in my life that he hasn't showed up for. Anything important to us, you've been there. Even when you had a full-time job with 3 kids. Note that this was back in the days where YSC wasn't entirely run by Annabel Clifton and Fiona, and his days were a little bit more full on than they are now, when he seems to email out one photo of the day with a hugely offensive paragraph and end it there.
But whether it was at 5 a.m. to take us to skiing or 5 a.m. to pick us up from a night out, he never missed anything that was important to us, even if he was usually around 30 minutes late for it. One of the things that he'll always say when asked about YSC and his life in Val d'Isere is that he's been incredibly lucky to have landed on his feet. And I think part of that is true, from the amazing staff over the years to the contacts and friends he's made around the resort who helped him build the company from scratch. But I think that with that luck has come incredibly hard work. He worked hard every day for 20 years straight between Val and Corsica without ever taking a day off. Not saying he didn't complain, but, you know, you still did it for 20 years straight. And during those times you were busy taking a bus down to the airport or dealing with yet another member of staff who was driving around the resort drunk in a Land Rover. We are incredibly lucky to have some of the most amazing people help raise us alongside you. Gladys, Erin and Peter, I want to thank... I want to thank all of you personally for playing such a huge role in our childhood. From the endless hours of Top Trump to the bedtime reading, pour les nombreuses journées qu'on a passées à l'ancienne piscine et le nombre de fois qu'on a joué au petit bac. We're so lucky to have had you in our lives for all those years.
But we've also had a huge amount of help by the YSC family. And wanted to thank a few more of you in particular. Barnsley here, who treated me like a brother ever since his first season here as a 16-year-old. Stig and Kat, who took me out snowboarding for the first time and spent hours teaching me. Scotty and Scottish, who showed me how much fun I could have on the mountains. And finally, Kitty and Suze, with Gladys and Erin, who pretty much raised me. It's always felt like a big family, and the culture, the people, the atmosphere, the idea that Val is home, not just a place people can come on holiday, came from Dad. He has almost reached celebrity status in Val, but Dad never wanted any flashy titles, to expand to other resorts, or start renting bigger, flashier chalets. He has always generally just loved giving guests the best week of their year and staff the best 6 months of their lives.
And although tonight is about Dad, I think we also need to say a massive thank you to Mum. Anyone who's worked for YSC over the years knows that it's Mum and Fiona running the show here. Only really in the past few years that I think the three of us have realised what unbelievable job she does here, season after season. She works relentlessly all year, clocking 16-hour days, 7 days a week, and pretty much keeps the company going through sheer force of will. Alongside all the work, she's also been the most dedicated mother we could have ever wished for. And we'll never be able to thank her enough for it. But her biggest achievement of all is probably putting up with John Yates-Smith. For the past 30 years, almost 35, which probably hasn't always been the easiest task, especially when she first wanted children.
Because I think it's important to know that our father didn't want to have kids at all. He told us that the day he learned that Mum was pregnant for the first time was, and I quote, the worst fucking day of his life. He also said at the youthful age of 48, he was still far too young to be thinking about children. And talking of staying young, Dad still lives with the staff. He has never quite acted his age, which is probably what has always kept him so young. No one quite believes it when he says he's almost 74, as he's still skiing the bumps, skydiving, driving sports cars, climbing trees to big mistletoe, diving off 10 meters, and flipping into pools.
Now, we're not saying that he does any of these things particularly well. He actually belly flopped off that cliff, back flopped into the pool, fell out of the tree, and if anyone has seen skiing the bumps with two completely different ski boots on, buckles wide open, I'm sure they've made up their own mind. But it's still bloody impressive, and over the years, people have wondered what has kept him so young. And the only thing that's been consistent throughout your life, unlike the many women that you've had, is the 2 bottles of wine that you have consumed pretty much every night. And when last year Dad had a bit of a health scare and the doctors put stents in his heart and told him to cut out the alcohol, he did decide to take their advice and reduced his consumption from 2 bottles to 1.5. But even though you may have been drunk for large chunks of it, you were there for everything during our childhood. Whether it was throwing us off your shoulders in the pool when we were kids, coming to our ski races, driving to Geneva and back just to spend time with us, spending hours in goal while we kicked footballs at you, or telling us one of your many stories as we went to bed. You've done absolutely everything for us. Being the son of the owner has also had its perks. As Ben could also attest to in the last few months. We're so proud of what you built here in Val, but most importantly, we're so grateful that you're unbelievably caring, patient, supportive, and all round the best father that anyone could have hoped for. So thank you.
Freedom and memories that stay with us for life. Okay. The certain John's purely avoided being on the receiving end of any kind of best man speech over the years. This took the opportunity to look back at some amazing photos and some of the brilliant moments from his past. I think as has been made clear this evening, you look up living your best life in the dictionary, probably there'll be a photo like this, next to it. And for me, that's always been at the heart of what YC offers for its guests and for its staff. They say you do 1, 3, or 10 seasons, but 50 winters for somebody who's here every winter, looking after the staff, the guests, someone that wasn't born in the Alps. It's a pretty incredible commitment to John's ever-increasing YC family. Wherever you sit on John's timeline, every person in the room, along with probably 3,000 other staff, well over 100,000 YC guests that aren't here tonight. Everybody's grateful for having had John looking after us in Val d'Isere through some of the best times of our lives. It's been amazing this week to see so many of my favourite people from seasons past, all back in the favourite place, skiing some of our favourite lines, sharing stories, and just care to, say thank you to John, Fiona, and Annabel for allowing that the whole time. As we said this evening, it really is about fun. Okay? And never really taking things too seriously, except for when it really counts. And the 45 of us, that's 7 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, with the exception of a misposted image from a staff WhatsApp group on Transfer Day last year, it's genuinely hard to find a photo of John without a smile on his face. And just doing something for the fun of it. It's always been a simple approach. Anything for the guest. Go out of his way to do anything for the guest or the staff. Anything that might improve somebody's holiday or season, and with the hope that they might come back the following season. I can remember Freddie, aged 4, asking John one evening why we stopped flying into Lyon Airport, and John replied, completely deadpan, well, Freddie, the police wanted Daddy to pay quite a lot of money, possibly go to prison, so he thought it might be better to start using drone airports. From parking his coaches, right outside the terminal buildings, slipping past airport security so he could greet the guests at baggage claim, bribing check-in desks to open 75% of the counters so that our guests didn't have to wait. He's been stirring up trouble for the benefit of anybody linked to ISD for decades. Sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error, making it up as we go, but obviously that's part of the fun, the main benefit of working for a small family company. And there's no one better at the fitness than thinking on the fly and coming up with a good line to diffuse any situation. One of my favourite pearls of wisdom from John is that there's nothing in the resort that can't be sorted out by a plumber, a doctor, or a combination of the two. Which always makes me think about this maintenance post from a few years ago. Fine. First season in 2003, I've always given John credit for one thing, and that's being consistent and fair. Okay, he's always fair. We've all occasionally been called a fucking moron. Sometimes worse. But he never holds the gas. Okay, never. I remember one mistake before, very early on, maybe it was 10 years ago or something. We're all sitting in Berlin, waiting for our trial dinner. John walks in, sniffs the air and says, "These feet fucking stink." A very, very young, shy Dan Bridle turned bright red. And he's completely mortified. However, it turns out it kind of smelled that bad because a few years later, we're in the same Timberlands. We were treated to this little nugget.
I think it's a little Sauvignon, n'est-ce pas?
For me personally, it's been a tug of war in living in the Alps or having to go and jump into real life, become a real adult, grow up. It took quite a few years to resolve for me. I've had several seasons that have managed to come out for a couple of weeks, saying I'll stay for 2-3 weeks, leaving 3 months later. It's just too hard to walk away from. And 2015, Christina and I came out for our final season, just one more before growing up and starting a family. But taking on John and Annabel's example of how important it is to raise children in this active and energetic environment, it was too hard, so we gave in to our gut instinct and decided to stay. We're very grateful to be able to do a live here at Balthazar with John and Annabel close by. We all know there's something magical about Balthazar, and being surrounded by people who are generally in a great mood, having the time of their lives, because they're either on holiday or they live in a ski resort. Whether it's for a week, or a season, or 10 seasons, 50 seasons, it's really, the lifelong friendships, memories that we make here are second to none, and I think it's just lovely to be out here with everybody and take the time to celebrate everything that John's done for us, Fiona's done for us, Annabel's done for us, and especially the team this week who are looking after us so incredibly well. I think they're doing a great job. They're keeping the standard consistent as everybody else has been held to for 40, 50 years. Have a nice evening, everybody. Love it.
I've got two things to say. I've been watching some of the faces of this year's staff while all these speeches and all these photos have been going on. And some of them have been absolutely amazed. And I think rather shocked. I actually think you're losing your touch. The second thing I want to say is thank you to everyone over there. When I was trying to walk through, it was like walking through the Red Sea. As soon as I said, excuse me, and people turned around and realised it was me. Anyway, I'm going to keep this short. I'm quite a modern one. But as most of you know from your interviews, that's not my strong point. I joined Bladen Lines in 1982, so I have known John for 43 years, which I think is longer than everyone in this room other than Dick. When I started at Bladen Lines, it was in July, and I was sent out to Valinco in Corsica, where John was running the Hotel Valinco. And I had never heard of John Yates-Smith. He was just unknown to me. And I'd just been taken on as contracts manager of Bladen Lines. And I arrived at the airport and I saw this person wearing a yellow, not yellow, what colour, blue t-shirt. And he came up and I introduced myself and he said, "We're just waiting for the wizards." And I, being a new girl, had no idea what a wizard was. And I looked rather vaguely at John and he said, "Oh, they're the ones who come off the plane saying, 'Wizard toilet.'" And I have to say, I thought, who is this weird? John, then I was in the London office and I didn't come to Balthazar very much because John was running it so well. But he ran the Valinco Bladen Lines programme in Balthazar, having been recruited originally from Ski Val, and he was in charge of the operations at Geneva Airport, where he terrified the reps from other resorts. In June 1990, I was made redundant from Bladen Lines, and I rang John in Corsica to say, "Hi." And he said, "We're going to run up set up our own company, come out here." And the next year, YSU was born. I never guessed that we would still be working together 34 years later. It's been a lot of fun, but there have been some hiccups and disagreements on the way. And when I tell you that most of these have been about the text of his today's photo, those of you who get it on email get the one that I haven't seen. And there have been quite a lot of discussions about the text. However, from my point of view, from the UK office, is John's ability to fix things. And for the clients, when I was at Lane Lights, our HR rep came to see me and said, Fiona, I've had a phone call from Maribel and Matilda's broken her leg and got to go home. And I know John's got spare staff in Val d'Isère, but I don't know how to get him to send them. And I said, you have to make John think it's his idea. I said, ring him and just say, we've got a problem in Maribel, can you help? And he will probably say, you can have Arabella. And this rep, this HR person, came running back into my office and said, Fiona, it's worked. And even better, he's going over this afternoon to pick her up. And that was my introduction to Bladen Light staff in how to treat John Yates-Smith. In our first year, and I don't think any of you will remember this, we had a client who drove up in a clunky Mercedes. And he was very worried he was going to have to spend a day or two of his holiday taking it down to Annecy and getting it repaired. And John was unbelievable. He got the MBO, who was maintenance rep, those of you who recently joined, and he said, put our maintenance guy on the insurance, he'll drive your car down and he'll drive it back again. And that's what happened, and the rep was absolutely thrilled to drive his Mercedes back to Val d'Isère. And that client booked with YSE for the next 15 years until he stopped skiing. And that is why people come back and back and back. Yes, it's our staff, but it's John's ability to fix things and to sort out their holiday. I have asked two different members of staff in the last 24 hours why John makes a difference. And do you know, John, they both said almost the same thing. Stig in Juniper had a problem with 16 clients, 8 in one group and 8 in the other, and the two groups hated each other. He called it, and 2 women in one group were pregnant. He called John and said, can you come and help? And John came along and made very derogatory remarks about people pregnant. And the clients were horrified. But it united them in their hatred of John. And I think I'm right in saying Stig never had a problem with them again. And then, funnily enough, this morning I was talking to Conahoe and I said exactly the same thing. And he said, Anna Turnbull in Grand Torsai had a group of 2 clients, 4 clients, 3 clients, and they weren't getting on. And John came along and was rude to them all. And from that moment on, they all got on in their hatred of John. So it's made me think this is how you sort out. There are lots of other things. One of the people here was here in January. Her cousin left his bag and his rucksack on the pavement next to the path. And John was only notified going up the mountain. He rang the police went and got the bag, and they got the bag and rucksack up to Balthazar that night. Also, and I'm not really sure I necessarily think this is good, but Anna Robinson, Emily Purgle, Annie Haddon, Lucy Fernell, Zoe Ashton, and Lizzie Parker were living in the ship, and they were getting a lot of flack from their neighbour, who finally started banging on the doors saying, "Anglais, Anglais." And you apparently went up and chatted her up for an hour and sorted everything out, and then put them all, those girls, into barrel, 2 of them in the boot, and took them out for a drink of full wine. Anyway, after 34 years, over 120 staff, clients, and nearly 2,000 staff, I look forward to many more years. And I just want to say one thing about Fergie's comment about going to the castle and your clients, your friends meeting the older ones. That I do always, all of you in your interview, just look whether I would like to stay in your chalet. And you, everyone here, has passed that test. And so that is why you have so much in common with the people who've worked 20 or something years for you. Anyway, lovely to see you all. Have a great evening.
Okay.
Tell us the story. If you actually were listening, you were bullshit. That's being said. We found out that I'm a randy, lazy, can't ski, don't do except milk the dog. What's completely wrong and can't ski? I don't want to. Everybody else needs pity. So I'm going to avoid all the P's and B's and T's. Yeah, I was just saying so that if you're going to said, you just have to tell people it's my idea and I'll come up with this brilliant idea. And the children say I don't do anything and well, and so I'm going to actually listen to those speeches again and just find out who I need to take revenge on. I'm not sure, actually, whose idea this was to have this week-long piss up. Barnsley, yes, Barnsley, yes. Yes. And before anybody says it, no, Barnsley is not Winston. I'd worked with his mother 10 years before he was born. That would have been a miracle.
That's the sort of thing to work at.
Scotty's not my son either. Yeah, although I have had a snowboarding son, so I've got used to the idea. You know what it is. But the idea that you've come, I mean, I know you've come, you've just yourself. YSD staff and former staff don't need much encouragement for yourself. You've done your first 360. Oh, let's have a drink. You've passed it. Let's have a party. It's your birthday. Oh, come we've got to have a party. On average, we have a birthday every week. The party lasts 2 days. We lose a lot of time to staff celebrating So anyway, this particular idea, I think, was taken up by Annabel, largely because my mum popped her clogs fairly recently, and it turned out she planned her funeral 10 years in advance. She'd paid for it. She'd chosen the coffin, the flowers, the car, the hearse. I had to read this terrible poem by some American, and the whole thing. She planned a party 10 years in advance and paid for it. Then she was not going to it. Well, she did attend it, but she didn't actually enjoy it. Right? So I said to Annabel, when you can see I'm on my last legs, let's have a party then. Let's have a party then. Let's have all our friends and a load of booze. And she started planning it immediately. Anyway, I was going to mention the people that have made YSE work, YSE possible. It was Fiona's idea at the start. She said it was mine, it was not. She rang me from London and said that fucking idiot has just sacked me. And I thought, if he's going to get rid of the best person in the company, there's not much hope for the rest of us. So I resigned and YSE was born. Which was also slightly wrong on our first contact ever, which was when I received a telex. Now, you probably don't know about telexes anymore, you young people, but it's a long piece of paper that comes out of a machine and shove it in another machine that writes the message at the other end. And the message was, hello, I am Fiona Easdale. I am the manager in charge of accommodation. Please send me a list of all of the accommodation that you've signed for. I thought, fucking cheek, I've been here longer than this young upstart. Is this all right? And I'm not going to take orders, so I just answered, dear Fiona, if you're going to be in charge of accommodation, might learn to spell it. 2 C's, 2 M's. She hated me forever after. And it was a bit of a surprise when we actually finished up working together, although I'm glad to say she's in Dorset and I'm here. We don't have to work terribly close together. But obviously, everybody's been saying how much Fiona has done. I don't know if people did really. She's only got a third of the initials of the company, but she is two-thirds of Fiona. I'm sort of the voice and the face, and Fiona's the brains. And she's the person who interviews you. I have to say that it's just the whole slightly sad. She interviews you, she does, sells the holidays, does the pricing. She is actually a machine, and she's the reason why YSE does as well as we do. And why we do get, without, I think anybody in Dartmouth would agree, we get the best staff in the Alps. They've been able to attend this week. Some others. So, yeah, and obviously Annabel, I mean, everybody knows that Annabel is a machine. She's slowly taken over everything I'm supposed to do. So the staffing, the contracts, she now does my accounts for me. And I sort of say to her, oh, I better do February's accounts. She says, I've done it. I've got to get the Land Rover service. I've done it. And so I sort of say, well, what do you want me to do? She said, oh, Ringo. So that's, but I think the message to all the young men here is, it's very simple. Just fuck up. And women love saying, don't worry, I've done it. Every woman's favorite phrase. And it's great. They like doing your work. If you're washing up, break a plate. It's very simple. I never have to wash up. Dick work out, and he's got 12. So, yes, so anyway, Annabel now runs the place. I walk the dog. Obviously, Murray is what keeps our standards up. The food is incredibly important. It's what we're known for. And that's entirely down to Murray. And Murray is, I mean, most chefs, who's that guy on the telly who's shouting at me, but Murray is so calm. I've never heard him raise his voice, even to Clara. I might have screamed at Freddie on several occasions. You're an idiot. So Murray, and of course, Christina is a huge part of the success of YSC, in spite of her dodgy ethnic origins. She runs the channel. So everybody feels they're at home there, they're part of the family. Everybody loves. Every week when I go down, if I take the channel guest, oh, the staff are wonderful. Christina is the queen. Christina, I tell them, shut up. I'm there as well. Anyway, Christina, they love her. But I think the real star of this, the reason we're all here, the reason we're coming back, the reason everybody's made so many friends, looking around the tables I've seen where the people from 1991 and 2001 and 2011 and 2029, everybody has formed amazing friendships with their particular year group. They're now, if they're not married, they're godparents to each other's children. They all live in the same village, which seems to be 20 miles. 2 H's. What is it? Oh, Hayward's sorry, something like that. So it is amazing that, and these friendships, these lifelong friendships, the fantastic memories we've all got, they have one thing in common, and that's Valdezare. Valdezare is the reason we're here. It's the reason we came in the first place. It's the reason we've stayed. And I think it's the reason people, I mean, it's obviously an amazing ski resort. We have the best slopes around. If you think about it, the steep little slopes going out of the valley. What? Get on with it. I will just say that it's not just a great ski resort with amazing snow, incredible lifts, all the rest of it. It's a warm village where we're all made to feel really welcome. And this doesn't happen in all ski resorts. They're incredible. We British must be the most annoying customers. We're loud, we're drunk, we shush down the green runs in a 90-mile-an-hour snow plow after a boozy lunch. And the French ministers. So thank you, guys.
So enough talking. We're just going to finish with a quick video that Craig, where are you, Craig, made in 2010, and it shows nothing's changed really, but yet a lot has changed.
Hello, Martin speaking. Yep. Now I can be there in 5. See you soon.